Do you remember the first time you took a geography class? Geography? Nah, I'm talking about geometry, actually. What was that like for you? Was it effortlessly easy? Was it undeniably difficult? Was it moderately manageable? For me, to use a statistician's term, it skewed difficult. And especially when it came to the issue of shapes and theorems. How could it be that a square is a rectangle, but a rectangle is not a square? How could it be that a rectangle is a parallelogram, but a parallelogram is not a rectangle? And how could it be that a square is a rectangle and a parallelogram? Honestly, someone needed to make it make sense to me. And yet, ironically, the most interesting shape I encountered did not happen in my geometry class with Mrs. Smith, but it actually happened in my English lit class with Mrs. Crawford, when we read a book that was written by Norton Juster and illustrated by Jules Pfeiffer called The Phantom Toll Booth. Now, in this book, there's a character known as the dodecahedron. And for context on the book, it follows the hero's journey of a young boy, a young bored boy named Milo, who goes on a journey in the land beyond. And in that journey, he meets the dodecahedron. Now, the dodecahedron is a character that has 12 shapes, all exhibiting different emotions. And as long as it was when I first encountered the dodecahedron stuck with me so much so that about 3 weeks ago, I was sitting on a panel discussing the importance of and the challenges associated with building strong community. That was the first thing I thought of, a dodecahedron. And that's because when I think about the work that I was doing in my prior firm as a community engagement manager, I was tasked with stewarding this role such that people could see additional dimensions of their colleagues. Now, you might wonder, Willie, what did that look like? Well, I did a lot of stuff. Started a podcast to talk about people in the workplace, beyond what they do and the clients they serve. It included ingesting over 3 million Scoville units a couple of times as we modeled the Hot Ones format to interview people who were in the firm. And it also included providing bespoke opportunities for people from lesser known parts of the company to exhibit the skills they had to display. And I think what that taught me was that it's really hard to build a strong community when we're all looking at each other in one-sided fashion. Case in point, my friend Monique Smith, who is an executive assistant at Bridgespan. For context, I worked at a consulting firm. Bridgespan is a consulting firm. And when you're working with EAs, they are basically responsible for managing calendars and logistics. So if I wanted to talk to Mike Soskis, a manager, I had to go through Monique. Monique would manage our calendars so that we could find time to talk. If an interested donor wanted to figure out how to do better philanthropy and wanted to talk to Mike, they had to go through Monique. Now, at the surface level, Monique was an EA. But if you spent probably, I don't know, hour, 2 hours with Monique, you realize that she was always adamant about leaving work on time. I gotta leave by 5. And you might think that's because she didn't like working at Bridgespan. That was not the case. But it's because Monique was also a viola teacher. And it's kind of crazy that once you start adding dimensions to people in your own respective communities, you realize that Monique wasn't an EA. She's a world-class violinist with a 9 to 5. Now, the question is, what does it take for us to shake ourselves loose of the myopic view, the stubborn hard-headedness, I'd probably say, of only seeing people from a single side? I would say you should have a softer heart. Don't be so accustomed to the people who are around you that you forget to know who they are outside of the work they do and who they serve. Case in point, when I think about being here at Knight-Hennessy, how many people talk to Michaela, who's nice with an icon? I know you're shooting with a Canon, but my Baptist background dictates that I must use alliteration. Are there people in your class that you see all the time, but you just don't take the time to speak to? I know things are busy, life's crazy, but it always will be, right? And the people who are here won't be. So I'll leave you with this. Who is someone that you see in a one-dimensional fashion today that you could further dimensionalize in the future? Because you might not realize it, but we're all Milos, going on some journey somewhere, maybe to a land beyond. But we're definitely surrounded by a bunch of dodecahedrons. That's it. Peace.